This week on Sit Down Standard, we talk about Wolverine's new movie, Logan.
The new PlayStation 4 game, Horizon Zero Dawn.
And we continue our breakdown of the top 100 movies of all time with the 1962 classic epic 3 hours and 47-minute movie, Lawrence of Arabia. Enjoy.
Alien Predator universe.
And we are live, folks. Welcome to the Sit Down Center, the podcast celebrating all the amazing things you can do while sitting, whether it's enjoying movies, watching television, or playing games. I'm one of your hosts, David Bray. I'm joined by the xenomorph himself, Gerald Bales.
Hello.
We were talking about Alien just before we started.
What sounds do they make? Do they make like they have like the teeth, like they stick their teeth out?
Yeah, it's like a water, and
the little tiny mouth. Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, we'll get to that in a little bit. But if you are listening to the audio version, we only have the audio version this week.
So you're good.
No YouTube. You're at the right place.
Don't waste your time going to YouTube.
We got to get back on that. It's just where the production is
no one
lower.
wants to see your faces. Let's be honest.
Anyways, you can check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, and of course the Google Play Store.
Your favorite podcasting service. Yeah.
But we haven't said this in a while. If you're listening to us on iTunes, go and give us a review. 5 stars.
Tell your friends.
Is that all? You got nothing else?
No, that's it. Just tell your friends. Don't tell family. Don't tell acquaintances. Just your friends. No, tell everyone. Rate us. Give us 5 stars. Hopefully.
Yeah. Let us know what you think. It helps people find the podcast. So, anyways,
sure.
We haven't done it in a couple weeks. Well, actually, here, truth serum.
Yeah, little what you doing, what you doing thing.
Yeah, so we recorded a podcast last week, but I screwed up and didn't hit the right microphone, so it was like recording on the USB. Webcam, so the audio sounded terrible, so we just skipped that. So
if you're a producer, email your resume to sitdownstandard@gmail.com. I'm looking for a new one.
A new producer.
Don't tell David. We're gonna let him go.
Anyways, let's catch up with what we've been doing the last 2 weeks. And what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? Alien sounds.
I haven't seen the movies.
What you doing, Gerald?
A couple things. Well, I mean, I could tell you everything I did last week, right? Because you messed up on that thing. So, other than messing up and wasting my time here for 2 hours,
whatever. You know you liked it.
No, we saw Logan last week. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about it a little bit.
We're not gonna do a full spoiler cast or anything like that, but yeah, now it's kind of gestated for a week. You know, there are definitely some more thoughts I have about the movie. No, not spoilery, but it's a very, very good movie. We gave it a 2 thumbs up.
Yep, it was very, very good. I think for me now, thinking about it a little bit more, there's parts of it that I think are well. Here, let me say this. So there was parts that I read about because when you watch a movie the first time, there's like little, especially in these X-Men movies or like any.
You definitely want to see it like more than once to get everything.
Yeah, because they do like
kind of like Star Wars movies or Marvel movies.
There's these like little Easter eggs that they talk about, but
just things you miss in all the spectacle.
But yeah, I think this will with this and Deadpool being because they're making crazy money, right? Mm-hmm. Logan made like something insane.
Yeah, I'm looking at
$238 million in its first week or something.
Jesus.
Yeah, something insane. So I think rated R superhero movies are going to be the way. Obviously, I don't think Marvel Studios will go that way specifically, but I think everybody else will. Wouldn't it be awesome to see like a rated R like Fantastic Four? Like,
yeah, but I don't want them to be like. I mean, I was afraid of that after Deadpool, right? By the way, the 8-day total between Logan and Deadpool. Deadpool by this time was at 196 million. Logan is at 125, so Deadpool is still outpacing it.
Oh, really?
Which I think I made the bet. Like, I think Logan will outdo Deadpool, but you said no. But it looks like you may be right.
That Logan will outdo Deadpool.
I said that Logan will outdo Deadpool, and you said no.
No, I don't think so.
I think you're right on that.
Yeah. But anyways, I like I said, the movie was fantastic. I think it's cool to see a different take on the superhero genre.
Oh, but that's what I was going to say. Like, I just don't want it to be a thing like, oh, look how successful it is, so let's just force rated R into comic book movies. Kind of like, I know after Deadpool did so well, they did that, the ultimate cut of BVS, you know what I mean? I know we talk about every podcast.
No, I know. But
like,
it wasn't, but there wasn't, did that make it rated R? Oh, yeah, it did, didn't it?
Yeah, the ultimate did, and it didn't really have a lot of things, but I feel like they said that to be like, look how good Deadpool did. Here's a quote-unquote rated R version of this movie. It's so much better, even though they really didn't add that much.
Right. As long as in the context of Deadpool, it makes sense to be rated R. In the context of Wolverine, it makes sense to be rated R. Mm-hmm. So, like, but there's other reasons other than just violence to be rated R. Like, you can have adult themes, like, I don't know, drug use or something like that, like the show Legion that we reviewed a few weeks ago, where it's like, craziness, like hallucinogen.
So
yeah, I know.
I'm on the just finished the 3rd episode. I'm like,
Oh, it's already on like the 5th. It's
yeah.
really
I'm
good.
behind.
There's some like
Dude,
moments
every
to-
episode is just like, what the heck is going on?
Exactly. That's what I mean by like rated R. There's different methods of going rated R. You could just
That's
be
not even rated.
super
I mean-
weird. Just be way out there. And like I'm not saying I think for rated R, I guess
So I mean, there are some violent things in Legion. And can I get off my lawn really quick?
about Legion.
Just about okay. So like, I watch Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Legion kind of has a couple, like, especially that first episode. There's a part where like Audrey pauses through the wall.
Yeah,
really gruesome.
You talked
right?
about this.
Did I?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, you talked about how it's just like over the top gruesome.
Yeah,
Like,
but you
gross.
can see that. You can have that on TV, no problem. But you can't see a boobie.
Yeah.
Like, give me a freaking break.
Well, that's what I'm
it's
saying.
ridiculous.
No, I know, but I'm
I was telling
saying
Sarah the other day, like, I was watching Walking Dead. I'm like, he was like pulling a zombie out of like that was stuck in a windshield, and first the foot fell off, and he's like, "Oh, gross!" And then he pulls it, and like the whole bottom half of his body, and there's like intestines. It's like gross.
But that's I think
ew.
I know.
We'll
get
can't
to
sell
that.
a boobie.
Yeah,
No
I know.
boobies.
We'll talk about a movie I just recently watched that was like gross and over the top. Like why?
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, Logan.
I think for me, it's just that movie again. The whole point of that movie is, we usually see our superheroes in their heyday, right? We don't get to see them like when they grow old and decrepit and have mental problems, and it's like that's interesting. But I only think a few characters are, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if I don't really care.
Did you read about the Westchester event?
The Rothshire or Rochester?
No, it was Rochester. Did
That's
you read
where
about that?
where the I didn't, but we're not spoiling anything.
No,
here.
I know,
but yeah, well
freaking-
I know.
just bring and that's. So, do you think this is one of the best superhero movies of all time?
Yeah, I think
Like,
it's top. I'd have to rewatch it, but
Yeah, I
The-
need to
the
rewatch it. I'm still on
initial-
the high, but I think it's like there's Dark Knight, which I don't think
Yeah.
anything is gonna be.
I think we did Did we do top here? Yeah, we did our top
Yeah.
superhero.
Dark
movies.
Knight, and then I want to say like this could be like number 2, 3. Like
I don't think it's that good. Top 5, maybe like number 5. I'd have to rewatch it. I think it has a lot of baggage because of the fact it's the last one that Hugh
once we
Jackman's gonna
rewatch
do.
it a couple times, but I think it'll be definitely up there.
Yeah, the action is like I said, the movie's not like jam packed with action, but
It's not like Avengers where you're like, oh my god, this is the first time we're seeing oh my god, and like the spectacle and all this stuff. But it's just like the way it's shot, the story, the cinematography, like, all that stuff just makes it a better quality movie. Kind of like The Dark Knight. A lot of those things make it that good of a movie.
And these movies, as far as the X-Men movies were the first ones to make it feel like it was like in a real world, like superheroes in a real world. Because normally it was like this, Superman and stuff like that. It was real world, but it never felt grounded in anything. This feels grounded, like more grounded than probably any superhero movie I've ever seen.
Oh, definitely.
The things that are going on, the problems that the characters are dealing with. It's like,
and I was reading an article on this, and it's like, oh, you want, your superheroes when you're reading the comics, when they die, you want them to die in like some heroic battle, right?
Right.
And like this is like, oh no, this is real life, man. Like these superheroes get freaking old, and then old people things happen to them, and it's like here's this most powerful guy in all or superhero in all history, whatever, and he's an old man who has mental problems. So
I always want like a
dude.
superhero action sequence where like one like friendly fire, like one accidentally like not meaning to. You know what I mean? Like you had the thing with War Machine, right? But like there's a little bit of that. Like it would just be fun because they're always like perfectly on target.
We'll talk about Rochester after the podcast.
Okay. Anyways,
speaking of,
well, they haven't. It's not in the movie, but they talked about what it could have been.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, anyways, go see the movie. Go see it again. I think. What's up next for the X-Men universe? Is there anything slated?
I think it's the Days of Future
continuation?
Past. Yeah, the one after Apocalypse. Yeah,
And so
I think they're at least gonna do one more.
Spoiler alert: that at the end of I always call it Age of Apocalypse, but Apocalypse, you have the Dark Phoenix again, or at least alluding.
The Phoenix.
Yeah, to with Jean Grey.
Yeah,
Or
so I'm sure that'll
Sansa
play
Stark.
a major role in that. Yeah.
Why? I mean, I understand why it's it's one of the best X-Men stories, and they've already done Days of Future Past, and they've already done Apocalypse, so it's kind of like, where's the next?
What?
You just
I'm
keep
curious,
going.
when do you get to the point where you just reboot it and do those classic storylines again? It's just because what else is there when you do those really fantastic?
There are other. There's like the
Oh no, you may have to be original.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like they're going to introduce Cable into Deadpool, right? So you could always go the time traveling thing there with like I forget what it was called. I think it was called the Legacy Virus.
Wasn't he? Was it Cyclops and Jean's son?
Yeah.
Okay.
Summers is the last name.
Yeah,
Nathan Summers, I think, is his regular name. It's just like I said, at a certain point, like especially in this movie too, like timeline continuity as far as Logan, it's like who cares?
Yeah, at this point,
I think
it's such a good
Fox-
movie, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, Fox is just like whatever, we don't care. Just come see the movie.
Yeah.
But I do agree that there was always a scare to make a rated R, superhero movie.
Oh no, there was some drama behind the scenes of this movie, and like they were shown like a cut that was really similar to this with like the gruesomeness and all that kind of stuff, and Fox is like, I don't know, man. And then I guess they took a lot of cuts on the budget, and there's almost like no CGI in the movie. You know what I mean? A lot of it, other than like putting skulls or claws through people's heads and stuff.
No,
but
they
no,
did
like,
that.
There's no like fantastical explosion. I mean, it's in a jungle. You know what I mean? They took a lot of cuts there to keep it the rating and the way Marigold wanted to do it, and I think it pays off. Yeah.
Well, just audiences are going to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing, because it was, you're splitting your audience. But I think
and it's like Deadpool 2. A lot of it's like, because like you said, like a lot of people are like, I don't know about PG-13 or rated R superhero movie. I don't know. And then it gets that word of mouth. It's like, no, this is freaking fantastic.
Yeah, I think it's still floating above 90% on Rotten Tomatoes after a week. That's insane.
Yeah,
like that's insane for a superhero movie. And I think it got. You could tell a movie's pretty good when it gets like a super early release to critics. You know what I mean? I don't know. Usually when they get like reviews the day.
That's only pretty normal. It's not like video games where it's like if they don't get reviewed before, you're like,
Yeah, exactly. Anything else? What else you got going on?
I have holes in my mouth, David.
Yes, that is true. Speaking of superhero powers.
Oh, this is not a power. It's a curse, David.
So you had some dental work.
Yeah, I had my 3 wisdom teeth pulled out finally after being told. I think my last checkup was in 2008 to get them, like a consult to get them pulled out.
Is that long? They had a long waiting list, 8 years.
No, it's just me very procrastinating because I'm
well.
terrified of this kind of stuff.
So how was it? Tell me the experience, because I'm terrified of the dentist, as everyone knows.
So I got put under, and they hook up like an IV up, then the doctor was like really chill. His name's Dr. Jeff Moxley. Go see him for your dental or oral hygienist needs.
Big shout out to Dr. Moxley.
Yeah, oral surgeon. Anyway.
Oral surgeon.
Yeah. So anyways, they put the IV in. He's like, hey, just want to let you know, we're going to put you out right now. The procedure's like 20 to 30 minutes to pull out 3 teeth, one of which was impacted, like half impact on its side.
If you were like an anesthesiologist, do you ever think like right before they go out, you're like, goodbye forever? Like just to scare the person to death?
Okay, so like I'm already kind of, I'm deathly scared. I'm like you, David. If you're loyal listeners and you remember, David's deathly scared of the dentist and all that stuff. So am I. And I've never been put under before. And you guys didn't hear on our last podcast because David screwed up. But I was saying, like, guys, this may be my last episode.
That's why I didn't record it.
I've never been put out before. And that is a thing. You sign a disclaimer that says very extremely rare cases can lead to death. And it's like, oh my God.
You just go to sleep. Your body's like, this is awesome. Let's do this forever.
I mean, at least if you're going to go that way.
That's pretty simple, yeah.
So he's like, hooks me up with the IV. He's like, okay, Gerald, we're going to put you under right now. I'm going to shoot in some medicine, and you're just going to go to sleep, and then you'll wake up. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And then like I remember him putting it in, but I don't remember like falling asleep or anything. I was just gone. Yeah, gone, just immediately out. And then maybe seconds later, I was back up. So what happened in the movie Inception? Did you crashing a van slowly into a river? No. What does that call it? Got to get the kick. Yeah, you got to get kicked out of the Inception, Dave. Kick me. No, but and the seconds later, I'm out. And I just remember, I don't remember a lot of it. I just remember being like super loopy and being like, oh, I'm fine. Yeah? Yeah. You were driving later that day, though, which I don't know. Later that day, yeah. I was much recovered later. By then. Yeah, because you went in early in the morning. 7:30 in the morning. A lot of pain afterwards? Or, I mean, they give you good pain meds, right? So yeah, I got pretty good pain meds, David. So at least that first day I was taking them. It's a little bit painful, a little bit sore. Like, even right now, it's pretty sore. I'm still eating soft foods. I've had mashed potatoes for dinner every day. There you go. And soup pretty much for lunch and scrambled eggs for breakfast every single you just feel like an old person. Day. Yeah. You got your Ensure and your Boost. Yeah, and I had the little bottle to like shoot water into little holes to keep them clean so no food doesn't get infected and gross stuff. But other than that, like, it's fine. To heal? So I had my last one done. That one was pretty crazy. But that one took for the hole you mean like for the hole to be completely filled? Yeah, no, I mean just for your where you can start eating like normal. Oh, when you get back to normal after 10 days to 2 weeks. Oh, okay. So you're I can start, but I mean, you still have to like make sure the hole's cleaned up. But that hole doesn't fill in for like 3 months. It takes that long for like the gums or whatever that crap is to fill up the gum putty or whatever. No, I was wondering, I'm like, don't we have like putty or something we can just put in these holes? No, we're not at that technology yet. Some kind of organic Bacta or something you could just throw in these holes. Nope. No, I can't believe that. Doesn't the army have something where if you get shot, they can put like crap in it and it like heals it or something like that? No, I think it's in a movie. That's not a real thing. That's a real thing. Army people email us. Wait, gmail.com. Hold on. So when you get shot, or cut or something, don't they have like powdery crap or something that you put in the wound to like cauterize the wound and like? Well, cauterizing it would be heat, so it'd have to be some kind of chemical heat. I don't think so. Oh, don't put that in my mouth. Yeah. No, but I thought there was some. Anyways, doctors, scientists, whatever, stop what you're doing. Can we invent some kind of cement to put into
No,
those
they
little
do.
holes?
They do. They have cement for your teeth when you get a crown. That's what they do.
No, your teeth, but like I want from like my gum hole, David.
You want gum.
Yeah.
Gum cement.
Because for like those 3 months until it's filled, you're constantly like, oh, is there a piece of food in there? Using toothpick, pick a little piece of food. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, your mouth is disgusting, and not
you're
yours.
disgusting.
No,
Let's
but
be honest.
everybody's
Your
mouth.
face is disgusting.
That's why dentists they're one of the highest
God,
suicide
freaking
rates. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Think about that. You're just
Poor
staring
bastards. No, this is the oral surgeon though. Oral surgeon, different.
Oh yeah, totally different. They're looking at.
By the way, okay,
the
I
back
don't know
of
if
the
this
mouth.
is legal, but like all the nurses and the receptionists, all of them were like cute young girls. I'm just like, is this like a higher? I mean,
Come on, man.
come on, guy. And he's a younger guy. I mean, he's like probably like mid 40s.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, come on.
They make
guy.
a lot of money. I know Alyssa, we used to see her dentist that she saw since like she was a kid. And he would take him and his whole staff on like a cruise during like January or February, and they would take the whole month off. So like you couldn't like, if your 6-month window was like, oh, your cleaning's in February. It's like, okay. And they're like, oh, we'll just schedule it in March, or you can do it earlier. And it's like, why can't you do it? And they're like, oh, we all go on a cruise for a month in February. I'm like, what?
What if you don't?
How much money are you guys making?
What if you don't like your coworkers?
Well, it's still a cruise, man. I don't make you like your coworkers.
Stay on the other side of the boat. But yeah, I'm fine for right now. It's gonna be annoying. I'll be eating soft food probably for about another week. It is helping me lose weight.
There you go.
So that's something.
One of the few good things about getting like a procedure done.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it sucks. But I mean, once it heals, I mean, I never have to deal with this again. So, David, get your wisdom teeth pulled out. Come on, man.
No,
Stop being a little.
won't do it.
Little girl about it.
Won't be able to do it.
So anyway, what else? Oh, again, I talked about this last week, but you don't know because David screwed up. I played. I'm gonna keep.
Just keep rubbing it in, buddy. You know how many times you've messed up on this podcast? Every time you say your name.
How many?
A lot.
So you don't know.
I do know.
You don't know.
I do know.
Okay.
Anyways.
I know you keep a folder of like all
I
the
probably
bad things I
should.
say as blackmail. Anyways, so I played Horizon Zero Dawn, PS4 game, came out the 28th of February. So I've been playing that, and I beat it last night. It's open world.
It's like dinosaur
game,
meets
third person.
steampunk.
So it's like post apocalyptic. So you're in a tribe, but it's bow and arrow, but you're fighting dinosaurs and like animals, but they're robots. It sounds ridiculous, but it's after finishing the story, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but man, it is a good freaking game, David.
Yeah.
Does
it have a lot of replayability, or are you
No.
done with it? You're done?
No. Well, no, because I did most of the side quests during the game. I think there was one I couldn't do, and I was just like, it's just like these stupid little.
It's like
fetch
feathers,
quests.
like in
No,
Assassin's
I did all the
Creed.
collectibles.
Of course you did.
No, it's just, I mean, it doesn't really matter. But
No online, no
No, it's just single player.
DLC coming out soon, or?
I don't know. I mean, there's an end credit scene, and it definitely alludes into something, but I don't know if it's going to be DLC story stuff or they're going to wait out until Horizon 2. And I know there's going to be a Horizon 2 because this game sold like crazy. But it's a very, very, oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
well,
that.
yeah.
Okay.
People are calling it the best exclusive of PS4, like around Uncharted 4. Like that's how good it is.
Actually, yeah, that's praise. Yeah.
But it's very good. The storyline is very unique. Like I said, you always have games that are in the post-apocalyptic, but this is like post-apocalyptic.
So the apocalypse has happened, and then we kind of figured it out, and now we're trying to get back to like normal.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, like
Yeah.
humans are.
If you want more about the story, I can tell you after. If you want to get spoiled,
No. You don't have to spoil it.
Yeah, but it's very, very good. I recommend everyone go buy it. It's gorgeous. It's the most beautiful video game I've ever played on any console. Oh yeah,
Better than Uncharted.
I haven't played Uncharted 4 yet.
There you go.
I've only played 1 and 2. So
What about Witcher? Better than Witcher?
Better than Witcher. Definitely
Wow.
better. Actually, you can compare a lot of this game to Witcher in terms of like how it's played. The third person, it's
Not story.
the combat's better.
Is it story like choice driven?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have. There are choices. There are times in the game where you kind of like Mass Effect, where you can be empathetic, intelligence, or like strength, and those choices do matter in the game
Are you
somewhat.
empathetic? Are you a sad?
I normally border on that. No, I chose all three
Yeah?
depending on the situation.
Okay.
Like there was one situation where you can be like, oh no, it's cool, or just like kill him. I'm like, no, I killed him.
Good job.
Yeah, you could not be redeemed. But it's very good. Like I said, the story is very unique. Something I've never heard of before. It's very good. I recommend go playing it if you have a PS4.
Cool. You've been playing that a lot though.
Yeah,
because I've been trying to play games with you, and you're like, "Oh, I just got to finish this," and then I'm sitting there
every
waiting.
single night for like 2 or 3 hours on the weekend since.
So how much
my
do you think
wife
you
works on
played it?
Saturday. I don't know.
20 hours?
I actually wanted to look and see because, like I said, it came out 2 weeks ago, 28th.
Did you get all the trophies?
No,
You're not a trophy or achievement
no.
guy?
I'm more of an achievement guy on the Xbox One, but I'm kind of over that. I'm too old for that crap.
Yeah,
dude.
getting over it.
I don't know. I was actually gonna go back and see how long I played that game. But yeah, go check it out. Other than that, I think that's it. David, what you doing?
Watched a bunch of movies this week. One that I don't know why I've been in this kind of mood with Alien. I don't know if it's just the Covenant movie coming out. We were talking about this before the podcast, and we've been talking about the sound the alien makes, the xenomorph. But I probably within the last 2 months watched Alien. And then I watched Aliens, and then I watched Alien 3 like a week ago, and then I just watched Alien Resurrection a couple days ago. Man, those movies have a big dip towards the end. Like
really? Like in quality? Or?
Yeah, they're just, it's weird too, because, it's the first one is a more in line to be a horror movie, right? It's meant to be like this corridor, scary, low production, not super low production, but it's Ridley Scott, it's his baby.
It's not like an epic movie, right?
Well, it's
contained. That's kind of one of the big draws of the movie, right?
Right. It's like it's a knife fight in a telephone booth, right? And that's what's awesome about it. But it's also like it's that we always talk about this, like the when did it come out? I think it was the 79. It's like the 70s version of the future. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? We talk about 2001: A Space Odyssey is like the 60s version of the future.
Yeah,
so it has a little bit of that, which is cool. But then, of course, like the alien is obviously the big focus in it, the bad guy, the xenomorph. But it's not like, it's kind of like, it's borderline Cloverfield status, where like the monster's only shown very little bit, and like they don't show like fight scenes with the alien. It's just running away, right? It's all like eluding and just getting the hell away from the alien. And then the second movie is the balls to the wall action. James Cameron directed it, so it's like, guy just after he directed Terminator. So
wait, which one did he direct?
Aliens, the second one. So you went from Ridley Scott to James Cameron. Yeah, the Leonard.
Holy crap, man!
Yeah, and then we'll get to the next one. So Aliens is this,
and this is the one where like Aliens is better than Alien. Is this one of those movies like Empire's better than New Hope?
See, I would argue that I enjoy Aliens more than I enjoy Alien, but as far as what I think is a better Alien movie, the first one is a better scary, holy crap, runaway. Because Aliens is about.
But am I wrong in that? Like I thought.
Yes. Aliens is one of those movies where it's like thought to be better than the first one,
kind of like Empire, New Hope,
which is kind of sad, like from a director standpoint, because it's like, hey, I made this like amazing, movie, and then someone else comes in and makes it better. It's like, oh man, like
or like Terminator 2 versus
Well, those were both Cameron, so he.
That's true, but still, like the second is better than that.
Right. So the second one is more action based. You've got the Marines coming in trying to fight the aliens. And the third one starts to go that's when, jump the shark or jump the xenomorph. Like the third one is about, her landing on like a prison, like
Don't spoil it for me,
I'm not going to spoil it, but Ripley lands on a planet that has like this all male prison, and they've taken like vows of like celibacy, and like they're like born again Christians type, but they don't really talk about like Christianity directly. Okay. But then of course an alien gets on the planet because it follows her, or I'm not going to spoil anything, but the alien's there because that's the name of the freaking movie.
Yeah.
This one is directed by, you should probably look it up. It's somebody who I can't remember.
Is it Alien Resurrection?
No, Aliens 3. It's not David Lynch. It's God, I can't remember who directed. But each one of these movies has had such a different...
David Fincher. What?
Yeah, David Fincher directed...
What?
And guess who directed Resurrection?
Who?
Josh Whedon.
Wow.
So, like, a very weird... And that's what's interesting about this franchise is, like, people who have done...
44% of Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, and so what's interesting about Aliens 3 is that there was the theatrical cut, and then there's I forget what they call it afterwards, but it's not even called director's cut. I think it's called, like, super cut or something like that. And they, like, added stuff, and they did different things, but, like... The third one for me, it just gets really stupid because it's not about chasing the alien and fighting the alien or about running. It is running from the alien, but it's like religious zealots and stuff. It gets like, it's just stupid.
A little ridiculous.
Yeah. So, and then I guess there was this whole issue with the theatrical release. They went back and changed stuff, but David Fincher didn't want to be involved in it. And is at this point basically said like, that's not my movie, which is crazy from a director standpoint, right? But the Aliens and Alien made so much money that they were like, come on. So then you have the fourth one, which is Alien Resurrection, which is Josh Whedon, which feels like a Josh Whedon movie.
I was going to say, is it, I mean, it said 54% Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not good. No, it's not.
But it definitely feels like a Whedon movie.
It feels like a Whedon movie because it does certain things that Whedon does, but it also is like gross If that makes sense, like you don't watch Alien for me personally. I don't watch Alien for like the gross alien dripping like and like the gore and violence. Like that's not like the chest bursting out of that's fine. But I don't want like the alien to like rip people's heads off or like squeeze people's head and see the blood squirt out. Like that's not
Still too much.
Yeah, and so like spoiler alert, I'm gonna ruin the last part of the movie for you.
Why would you? I haven't seen these movies, David.
It's not good. Let's just say the end, the way that the bad guy is killed at the very end of the fourth movie is like over the top gross.
Okay.
Like it's like what's those movies you love? The ones where everyone dies.
Final Destination.
Yeah, it's like
those movies are so good.
It's like Final
Saw.
Yeah, it's like Final Destination. Like let's find new ways of killing all the characters, including the bad guy. It's just and like you could just tell like by the end of it, like Sigourney Weaver's just mailing it in. Like she's super weird. Like she's really good in the first movie, and even in the second movie, she's like she has like PTSD, which is awesome, right? And then like
I don't think those people who suffer from it would agree, David.
No, but I mean, for the context of the movie, it makes sense.
Yeah.
She went through this horrific thing, and then but then she kicks in like her badassness, right? And then like the third one, it's just she's just like I don't know. It's weird. It's also like the same.
Did she shave her head in one of them? Was that the third one or the second one?
The third one. The third one, she shaves her head.
Oh my God.
Because like they want to make her not look so sexy. Because like she's in this prison with these men that have taken celibacy, but they're gonna like.
By the way, I was asking about this earlier. AVP is not canon.
See, I thought it was.
No.
When I went to go look at the timeline,
it said Ridley Scott's Prometheus is going to show the origin of the xenomorphs, which I guess the AVP films did. AVP films are no longer part of the Predator and Alien franchise. The AVP films are now not canon.
But do they still exist in the universe together? Is my question.
Well, no, that would be canon. No.
Well, no, because you could say AVP doesn't exist, but Predators are in the same universe as Alien.
I think it's just their own thing.
Yeah,
they don't have anything to do with each other anymore.
So yeah, so I watched the fourth one, which I hadn't seen in a long time. That one also has Winona Ryder in it, and it also has who's the guy who plays Hellboy? What's his name? I can't remember his name.
The guy from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah,
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman's in it. He's awesome in it because he's like
he's awesome in everything.
Yeah, he plays the same character.
What are you looking at, Bob?
Yeah, same thing, right? He's really
big
good.
Old face, like chin,
He's got the gigantic, and he's got like
a monkey,
yeah.
like an orangutan.
And so, yeah, like I said, the movie, the fourth movie is just terrible, and it sucks because you're like, when I remember watching it,
but it's canon, so I gotta watch it. Right?
Yeah, and so now you had Prometheus, which is mixed reviews, which
I liked Prometheus. I mean, it was fine. I definitely see some of the.
Run to the left.
Run the other direction. How hard is that? I definitely see some things like that are kind of like campy and dumb, but it's fine.
I wonder if like the director thinks about that. You know what I mean?
Well, from what he said about like doing Covenants, he's gonna be like, no, we're doing freaking Alien. Movie.
But he did Ridley Scott directed Prometheus.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'll look it up right now, but I'm pretty sure.
Because I mean, at this point, a lot of people have So anyways, we have the Covenant trailer. They showed more trailer of Covenant, which again looks cool, but they've already showed the Xenomorph. I'm like, well, come on, see, this is I want them to almost go back to the original where it's like, don't show the monster as much. I want more horror.
Directed by Scott.
Okay, directed by Ridley Scott. Yeah. He's gonna do Covenant, and like I love their trailers that they're doing now for like the android,
which I didn't know. I thought it was David. I thought it was the same android, but apparently this is a different.
Right, it's a different Walter. Yeah, it's just super cool. Like I love when because
it's like the viral marketing kind of
right. And like anytime you have like an evil umbrella corporation, it's always cool to make commercials for them in the universe of the world.
It's just stupid though, because it's like, this is another Wayland expedition. I'm like, how many of these do we have to send out in space before we figure out it's not a good idea?
No one's coming back.
Is this still technically a prequel to Alien?
This is before Alien.
Okay, so you need to watch those freaking movies.
They're good. They're really good.
No, I
like I said,
the
problem
they're
is
all on the top 100, or the first two on the top 100, right?
First two are on the top 100, but it's just such a drop off after Aliens, and I don't.
It meant a lot. I mean, it gets in the campy territory, but
well, I think it's one of those things where it's like you just kind of run out of ideas because it's like, okay, well, we've chased the alien in a corridor, or the corridor alien
set it on
movie.
Fire. We did the robot thing, right?
Right, exactly. So it's like,
oh my god. So like, I know is that the conclusion to 2 or Aliens is where she gets in the robot. Does she get in like in a bigger, badder robot in like 3 or 4? No. I figured they would play that out. Well, like, she's in a robot again.
I'll tell you what 3 is. 3 is no. I mean, it's not. It's one of the big things is like she's impregnated with one of them, and so it's like this. Oh
my god! Spoiler.
No, it's so stupid. Like that's such a stupid concept. Like,
well, let me make my own decision.
No, it's dumb. It's really dumb.
How dare you?
And then like I'm not of the mind. Like I don't mind new ideas, but it's just like that's so simple. Like, merge the alien and the human. And that's what they kind of did in Prometheus a little bit, right? I mean, that was, if I remember correctly, there's that whole birthing
David.
scene.
Oh, yeah. And then she like takes it out and goes into healing. Oh, brutal. Brutal.
Okay, so other sci-fi movies that I've been catching up on. This one makes me laugh. So we've seen some pretty interesting movies, including 2001: A Space Odyssey, which we've given that we think it's brilliant, but we're not smart enough to figure it out. But it's weird, right? It's definitely like esoteric and kind of strange and
of that time.
Of that time, right? So I watched the 1984 sci-fi quote unquote classic Dune.
And how was it, David?
Directed by David Lynch. This movie...
David Lynch directed that?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Not David Fincher, David Lynch. He did Mulholland Drive. After this, actually, he had such a bad experience with the movie
Did he do Twin Peaks? Is that him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he started doing smaller stuff, like TV stuff and smaller... So he had more creative control.
Is Twin Peaks worth watching?
Yeah.
Think?
If you like X-Files and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I've only seen a few episodes.
I know they're doing that new...
Yeah, they're coming back with like a new Netflix thing, I think, right?
It's not Netflix. It's on like Showtime or Stars or something like that. But yeah, they're bringing it back for like a season, so it's worth watching.
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna add to my list
you got to be
now,
careful though, because X-Files came back and everyone hated it, right? Mulder. And
yeah,
Scully.
I couldn't. Watch
I'm not an X-Files guy, but I mean it's a little bit more campy, I think, than X-Files. Although X-Files can get pretty campy too. The little skateboard.
Showtime is nice.
Okay,
I'm gonna add to my list.
So, anyways, Dune. You've seen the movie, correct? A long time ago?
I don't really remember it, but yes, I have seen it.
And I'll tell you why I went and watched this movie, because there's a board game.
Oh God, dude.
There's a board game called Dune, and then
I played the PC game, David.
Yeah, Dune 2000.
Dune 2000.
So okay,
it was it was like Command and Conquer ripoff.
So this is based off of, again, I haven't read the book, but it's based off. It's a 1960s sci-fi novel, which was very, very, very sci-fi, heavy sci-fi, like
Battlestar Galactica all dialed to 11.
Yeah, I think So it's very beloved by its fans and the people.
And it
who
was
read
always
the book.
known. It's like it's impossible to make a movie about this because there's so much going on.
Right.
It's too complicated to fit into a movie.
And they were correct.
People said that about Game of Thrones. A pretty good show.
And that's right. And the point, right. This suffers from a Game of Thrones problem. If Game of Thrones was a 2 or 3 hour movie,
yeah, I just think they gave it to the wrong.
Well,
they should have sat on it until it was better.
Well, they should just do it. They're remaking.
They are doing it, yeah.
Which I'm excited about because
the rival director's doing it.
The rival director, the guy is
Sicario
good. He's been nailing it out of the park. I mean, he's also doing Blade Runner 2049.
Yep.
So this guy's just going to remake.
He's turning into one of my
stuff.
favorite directors, man. Like all the movies are like knocking out of the park too.
Yeah. So. Dennis, I think is his first name. His last name,
Willem.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so I want to talk about Dune. So if you haven't seen Dune, it is again very heavy and sci-fi, and it is all of the things you hate about the 80s, like sci-fi movies, but all the things you love about sci-fi movies from the 80s. It's so jarring. The movie, clearly they had a lot of production issues. This movie was like tried to be made like 3 or 4 times before this one was made,
and ridiculously expensive and stuff. Like
super expensive.
Stuff, right?
Did not make its money back. Critically bombed, both in the box office and critically. Now some people will say, hey, it's almost like what was the Duke Nukem, right? The Duke Nukem game that eventually came out from
Legacy.
Yeah, where it's like the game kept getting made and scrapped and made and scrapped and made and scrapped, and then finally it was just like at a point where it's like the spectacle is the fact that this even exists is actually pressed onto a CD or in this case film, right?
57% Rotten Tomatoes, came out in 1984. Its budget was 45 and it made 30.9.
Yeah, that's terrible. Terrible. Now I will say the thing that is great about this movie is a couple things. One, the sets and the costume are amazing,
like super intricate.
Holy moly! And some of the wide shots, like where you have like a huge spaceship sitting on the ground and there's people walking like at the foot of the giant spaceship. The models, I guess, is what they use, is amazing. Like even looks good today. Like, but then
cinematography for that movie, right?
Cinematography is really cool. So okay, so I'll give you some. If you haven't seen the movie, I know you probably remember, but
it's fine.
So it's okay. So it's about, and this is what's hard about the movie is that it is a very Game of Thrones. Like honestly, a lot of this is like War of the Roses.
A lot of families.
So you have a family called, and
Democratic.
I'm probably going to get this wrong if you're a big Dune fan, but anyways, there's this family called the Arcades, Arcadis, as one family, a house, and they are led by this duke named Leto, who could be played by Jared Leto, which would be awesome if they did that. And he's married to this woman named Lady Jessica,
right?
And has a son named Paul. Now, this Lady Jessica, she is a part of the Bezoit Jesuit or Bezit Jesuit, and they're kind of like witches, like they can read people's minds. Yeah, exactly. Deep in sci-fi here. But they also like they're kind of like their own like religious cults, and they have their own prophecies about the super being coming. Again, right? It's very.
There's like spice and
hold on. I'll get there in a second. So then there's also another house called House Harkonian or Harkonian, I think is actually how you pronounce it. Which they're kind of at war, kind of like the Starks and the Lannisters. Very similar. They have this adversarial relationship. But then there's this emperor who oversees everything. Think of him as like the king of like in the Red Keep, right? And he kind of maintains the peace. But one way that they've maintained peace kind of generally is through the production of resources. There's this one resource called spice melange, which is on
you have to mine it.
You have to mine the spice on this planet, which is called Arrakis. Which is what the nickname of that planet is called, Dune. It's full of a bunch of sand, and the sand is the spice. And most people know Dune from like these giant sandworms that are protecting the spice on this planet. That are like, think of what Tremors, was that movie?
Something like that.
Yeah. So that's like understandable to some extent, right? And there's like this warring feud about how to get production, and there's this backstabbing stuff between
controlling more of it,
right? And like the emperor is trying to work to try to give control of that planet to Arcades, the House Arcades, but really he's stabbing them in the back because he's going to put an ambush there, and he's helping the Harkonians. Right. And so it's very Game of Thrones. Honestly, like now that I think about it, that's exactly what Game of Thrones is. It's all backstabbing, political, mumbo jumbo and things like that.
Right.
But then there's also this group of people called like the Guild, and they are like space traveler aliens. And they use the spice because the spice does lots of things, right? The spice it makes you live longer and gives you more. It extends consciousness.
You smoke it,
yeah, and
boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew.
Exactly,
kind of do what you want.
But the big thing it does is it allows this guild to travel through space and time, so they can bend space, so they can travel the thing.
Oh, so it's used as like a fuel, kind of.
Kind of, I guess. They don't really go into detail about it, but I'm sure the book does. But it's this idea, remember we've talked about this, like think of a sheet of paper. One point of the piece of paper is like your house, and the other is your work. And then if you folded those two like a wormhole, you could get and they say traveling without moving, right? And that's like, so it's very, what's cool, this is the thing, like that concept, which is not, the space-time travel type thing, that's always been around, but it's like they are playing it up in this movie because it was probably played up in the book, and it's like, we have tons of movies that do that, right? So it's like, part of it is kind of, it's timed. Its time hurts it, right? But that's the basic general understanding of it. But then, of course, the kid is the super being, but like it suffers from bad sci-fi. For instance, when you think of like Star Wars, or you think of like Star Trek, right? When they're firing the gun, the gun doesn't shoot anything, right? So they like kind of cock their hand back, and in the movie it makes like a pew sound, right? Whatever, right?
Choo-choo.
So when you're watching it, it looks stupid when you don't see all of the special effects. Well, in this, the House Arcades, they use what are called weirding devices, and what it does is it's like a sonic wave powered weapon, and you use your voice to right. So the way that they shoot in this movie, like a gun, no, they go like chakas, chakas, and so all these characters are
so it's still coming out of a gun, but they have to use their word,
right? They have like a microphone next to their mouth, and then they use the It's really stupid. That's so dumb. And so it's like, and to some extent, like everything there's this idea that if you play a perfect sound towards something at its perfect wave, it'll destroy the thing. That's actually based in reality. You could do that, but like it looks like a bad sci-fi thing, like people shouting chakas when they're shooting, and like nothing's coming, you know what I mean? And like there's other things, like there's this group of people that live on the sand planet called Dune, and they have blue eyes on blue eyes. So they have blue eyes, but then the iris is blue, but all they did for the special effects is just like put a filter of like blue over their
eye parts.
And so sometimes the movie, when they're like moving their head very quickly, like the frame per frame isn't very perfect, so you see it like click in and out. It's almost enjoyable how bad it is at times. And then, but see, that's why I think this movie suffers from like, there's no levity in the movie. It is sci-fi all the way. Even Star Trek had like moments of levity, like somebody would make a joke, or somebody would hit on somebody, or say something inappropriate or something, right? No.
Battlestar Galactica the same way. Like you had that.
Right. You have to have levity. There's none in this movie whatsoever. It is serious from the moment we start to the moment we end. And everything is so prophesized and everything, and it's just the prophecy is coming true, and it's just like so stupid. So and again, that's not, I think from a perspective, like I think the book probably played it well, because like it's a book, right? when something is trying, the only reason that you create a sense of wonder and epicness is to be invested for this long period of time in these characters and see them grow and see them change. But like it happens over the course of 2.5 hours. By the way, the main character is the mayor from Portlandia, Mayor the Mayor. He's the main.
Oh, same thing in Twin Peaks, right? Is he the main guy in there?
I think so. So it's
That's
just
funny.
Well, it's David Lynch. A lot of these guys use the same people, but it's just funny because like I see him and he's trying to be serious. Also, Patrick Stewart's in it. He plays like
really?
It's weird,
cool.
And he's still bald in it. I'm like, how long has Patrick Stewart been bald, man? So it's definitely a movie to check out. It's one of those like get together with some friends. Do Mystery Science Theater style. Like, it's so bad.
Get
like,
a big thing of popcorn, just talk shit about the movie as you're watching
exactly.
it. Yeah.
And, like, there's, right from the get-go, they, like, do this, like, battling sequence. Like, the two people are, like, training. And it's, like, they turn on this, like, protective shield. And it's just, like, a big crappy box around them. And, like, it's so bad. And, like, immediately you're like, oh, it's that kind of movie. And it doesn't really stop. But I just wish it embraced, like, the weirdness of it. And I'm almost worried about what they're going to do to it. Because it's almost so campy that it's, like I said,
but
you
with
can
that
watch
director, though, it's like, I don't think I am worried.
I'm worried. What I am worried about is how are you going to explain that universe? Because, like, honestly, the weird thing about this movie is, like, the characters, to give dialogue, which is a really bad, they whisper to themselves what they're thinking out, like, they say it out loud in the movie, but it's, like, inside the person's head, and all characters do it. And it's just really bad writing.
Wait.
No, right. So I'll be like...
Wait.
No, so, like, a character will be
I'm
like...
thinking about saying to David right now.
Right, and then he'll be like, what is she thinking?
But like out loud, that is.
But
so
it's not out.
weird.
But not out loud in their mouth. Though, like it's their internal monologue.
Oh, I thought you said like.
No, it's an internal monologue, but it's like whispered too, so you know it's an internal monologue.
Oh.
It's just bad
What
storytelling.
is he thinking right now?
Right. It's like very bad storytelling because if you can't get something if you can't get it out of context, then like you should.
You're
rewrite.
explaining it, and then it's just like that's why it's bad.
And like the movie opens up with a character you never meet. You meet her, but she's not like a character in the movie. She's like the daughter of the emperor, and you never see her again. And she's like, in the year, blah, 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 this happened, and then this happened, and this. It's like, you opened your movie with exposition? That's not good.
Star Wars does it.
No.
They got the crawl, man.
No, that's not the same. No, this goes on for a while. And it's like telling you like character names, houses. Like, the one thing about Game of Thrones, you got to watch a few seasons, then because what's the guy's name? Tyrion? The little midget guy.
Even now, I'm just like,
right. What's his dad's name? Tyrion too? No, it's Tywin. It takes a while if you don't read the book. And like this clearly was a book made into a movie. And they did make a TV show at some point. I know William Hurt was in it I think it came out in 2000. I think it was on Sci-Fi. This would be perfect as like a TV show. It just you need to kind of, I know.
Maybe they'll split up the movie. Maybe it won't be the whole entire book. Maybe it'll,
it's you don't want to dumb down the movie, but you kind of want to dumb down the movie because it's like, not everybody's...
And super high sci-fi doesn't always work with the wide audience.
And like some of the aliens in this, man, like they have like the guild alien or whatever he is.
We could definitely do better.
Oh, he's like a floating blob brain. It's really awkward and weird. And there's some weird stuff. First of all, Sting is in this movie. Because Sting was big in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And so, but he has like a super minor part in the movie. And then there's like...
He's just got like a cameo.
The main bad guy, he's the Baron for the House Harkonnen. He has like weird like... So his nephews, one of them is big and fat like him, and one of them is Sting. And then there's like these homosexual like tendencies throughout the whole movie that aren't explained. Like it's just...
That's just like their culture.
Like Sting comes out of the shower and he has like this like little like bikini thing on, and he's Sting is in good shape, so he's like ripped out of his mind, and the other guy's just like, and it's just like his uncle, and you're just like, what is this adding? The guy's already a creepo, like we know, like you don't need to like it's where it's like some movies like this is the bad guy, this is the bad guy, we got it, and it's like no, he's really gross. It's like we want him dead. We all understand, it's like bonkers, it's so heavy-handed, but again, I think. And then the end of the movie, totally like the actual end of the movie, I think I'm pretty sure was a studio choice because I'm pretty sure it would like ruin the movie, if that makes sense. Like the ending of the movie is like this happy ending, but it like what happens at the end of the movie ruins the planet.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm sure that's not what the book did. But anyways, check out Dune. It's worth, like I said, I think it's worth getting some popcorn, get some beer, get some friends together, and watch this. I think it's like 2.5 hours. It's a long movie.
So it's pretty long, right? Yeah.
But it's good. And like I said, enjoy it for the spectacle of it. The set pieces are insane. I think of the set pieces...
Especially during that time, right? And that's why it was so expensive, quote unquote.
Well, I think they were building sets like years before the movie ever came out.
Oh, wow.
So like there's some set pieces that are crazy big, like where you wouldn't even notice the detail the first couple times you watched it. And the costume design is awesome. They have these cool like suits when they're out in the desert that like take like their perspiration and filter it, and then they can drink it inside the suit. And then like there's a moment where he's like, oh yeah, and like, you know, feces and urine, it also filters that. And I'm like, I'm not drinking my own poop water. Like I know it's filtered, but it doesn't matter. But it looks cool. Like it has this real cool like exoskeleton looking suit. Yeah. So but it's just weird to see the mayor from Portlandia be like this hero. Yeah. That's his name. So that's the other thing I watched. The other things I did this week, again, we watched with Logan, which we already talked about, played a bunch of board games. I'm just going to talk about quickly because I don't think I've given this like the full sit-down standard treatment of my discussion, is the game Dominion. You've played it. I've played it. Deck builder game. This is the classic. We always talk about deck building games on this podcast, but it's the one that started them all. It's designed by Donald Vaccarino. It's been out for a number of years, billions of expansions of it. But the reason I just want to talk about it because it's just such a good, it's like, kind of like Dune. It's this classic. It's better than Dune, by the way. But it's this classic that is like, a lot of people are now play other games that have that mechanic in it. And again, deck building is you start out with like a set of cards, and what you're doing is you're using those cards to buy better cards. And every time you buy a card, you put it into your discard pile. When you run out of cards in your hand or in your deck of cards, you take all of your cards, you shuffle them, and now you have this new deck of cards. So your deck keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and better. And they have lots of cool things where like, you can attack other players' decks and make them get rid of their cards, or you can
play ways to like recycle out your own.
Right. There's like a card that says you get to play more cards. So if it's this really cool like
combos.
Combos and stuff like that. So anyways, the Dominion that I have Dominion. There's a expansion called Dominion Intrigue, which is like a little bit more backstabby, which is kind of fun because the base game has some take that stuff to it, but it's more
just getting victory points.
Yeah, you're just trying to get the most victory points at the end of the game. But Intrigue is definitely a lot more backstabbing, and it has like choices. I love when games give you cool choices.
We
like
should play that one next on.
Right. Well, you know, we always talk about like the cake or pie, right? Like I love when games are like, which cool thing would you like to do? And this game has a lot of that. It's like, do you want more cards, or do you want to like hurt your opponent? It's like both of those are awesome. And then there's another expansion I have called Seaside, which has like some different mechanics and stuff like that. What's cool is like the base game is very simple to play, very, very simple to play, and you can play. I think it's up to 4 people, and it's one of those games that's it's a quick turn, so it's not like you're sitting around forever.
Yeah, by the time your opponent is taking their turn, you're thinking about what you're doing. By the time they're done, you should already know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a very affordable game because it's just a deck of cards. That's all it is. But I don't think I've ever given it like the official discussion of it. But I enjoy that mechanic deck building. It's been expanded. Some people say Dominion is like themeless. It doesn't like, which you know, like,
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, but like you know, you have to use your imagination a little bit. Imagination.
Yeah, other than like the artwork on the card, you don't really. It's not like there's a mission or anything. You're just trying to get victory points.
Right, and so that mechanic was then, of course, taken to a whole bunch of other games. Like I have one called Legendary Xenomorph Onslaught, which is like Super Troopers or not Super Troopers. What's that movie called? Is that what they're called?
Super Troopers, yeah.
Super Troopers? No, not
Bug.
Is that's what they're called? No, was it called Super Troopers?
Oh, no. Starship Troopers.
I'm like, Super Troopers. No, Starship Troopers. It's basically deck building with Starship Troopers. That
I say meow?
That's what I was like, no, that's not that movie I'm thinking of. That would be a cool deck building game.
My God,
so yeah, check out Dominion. I would say if you're trying to get into board games, like the title. It's
definitely one of the good, like, quote unquote gateway games.
Yeah, and like the name, I think when you like Dominion, it's like it has this like epic like like Battlestar Galactica or
that name definitely does not fit the cards.
Right. It's like super easy and straightforward, good gateway game. So Dominion, and then if you're if you already own that and you're looking for expansions, I would say the one to buy first is Seaside and then go Intrigue. Seaside is like has this they add like each expansion they add like a new little cool mechanic. So like the Seaside expansion does this thing called duration. So you play a card this turn and it stays out until your next turn and does something else. It's just fun. I don't know. Like I like when comboing.
Is Dominion and Legendary done by the same people?
No.
There's so many mechanics that are like exactly the same.
Well, they've you just slap superheroes on stuff that already exists.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm wondering if it's the same.
Well, it's funny. It's the they obviously use inspiration because of the deck building mechanic in general, and then they used some of the mechanics from Dominion, and then Dominion then copied in its expansion some of the things that Legendary did.
That they did first.
But gotcha. Legendary Marvel, they have Legendary Alien. Speaking of Alien, you won't play it until you watch the movies, right?
I know.
Oh, that's probably my favorite deck building game of all time. So good. Okay, so those are all the things that I did this week. What else do we want to talk about? Do we want to hit on anything else, or are we going to wrap this bad boy up?
Let's do our movie, David.
Yes. So we have our top 100 movie of all time. This week, Well, it's been a couple weeks because this movie is quite long. This is number 80. Hold on, let me look it up.
I know I don't have like my iPad here either, David.
I know we are so unprepared. I believe it's number 83 if I'm correct, but I might be wrong. But it's I believe it's 82.
It's the slasher horror Lawrence of Arabia, the 1962.
No,
I'm sorry, it's a drama, historic drama film.
Yes, so this is the
My B.
Let me see. I actually now have it pulled up here. And it is number 82. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Number 82, Lawrence of Arabia, starring Peter O'Toole. This is the sort of historical, sort of a little bit.
Yeah, I was Googling like, is this real?
It's the voyages and the exploitations of T.E. Lawrence of the British Army during World War One. This is an epic movie. This movie is how long? 3
hours and 47 minutes, dude.
Yeah, it is a long movie. I watched it in, I think, 3 different sittings over the course of 2 weeks. But it is
Jesus.
Speaking of the spectacle of Dune, this movie is insane. The set pieces where they actually got how they shot this stuff. I mean, this is 1962, right? They're shooting stuff like out in the desert. I'm like, where are you getting
like,
power?
And there are scenes where they were like, it seems like hundreds of horses. And it's like, this ain't CG, man.
No,
these are real horses. These are real camels, real people. Like, and you see them like a huge army, like running through the desert. And so they're like, holy crap, man!
Yeah, this all really happened. They filmed it. I mean, it's got that. You want to see an old school epic movie that nobody makes anymore.
Capital E, David, on that epic
that
like,
nobody makes anymore because it costs too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you could just do it with CGI and it would look just as good. But it is nice to see this. Now the movie is. Plays out its epicness. It knows how important it is as far as how it's one of those things like, hey, we spent a lot on this. We're going to take our sweet damn time with this scene.
Yeah, and that's why I asked him like, is this a director's cut or something? Because okay, spoiler alert, I did not finish the movie.
Boo! Dude. Gerald is the worst.
I have seen the whole thing before growing up. It was one of those like, okay, you got to watch this. You got to watch 10 Commandments. You got to watch all this stuff. Growing up, and it's a fantastic movie. And like I think I had like 45 minutes left, a half hour to 45 minutes left.
It's like the best part of the movie. In my opinion.
So, like, this movie drags the freak on, man.
Yeah, it does.
And, like, there are scenes, like, I'm going through this, like, I understand this is a good movie. And, like, the spectacle, the cinematography is amazing. Yeah, the acting, even though, Lawrence, it's Major Lawrence, right?
He becomes a colonel. You didn't watch the last 45 minutes.
Sorry. Whoops. Lawrence, his acting is kind of like he's just kind of a ridiculous character, like especially like till the beginning. I'm just like, this guy's kind of a dick, but
no, that's the cool thing about the character in the movie is that there is some transformation that goes on.
Oh yeah, and you see that transformation.
Yeah, so
and like that's brutal. And he's like, no, I like it. It's like, wow.
Yeah, so let's
anyway,
we'll get to spoiler territory here.
Anyway, but like going through it, like it just, and I blame today's society. Thanks a lot, Trump. Like my attention span apparently is obliterated because I rather just like I just can't sit here and finish watching this movie. I'm like, I could finish Horizon right now.
Yeah.
I could place in season 4 in Overwatch right now. Yeah. And it's just not holding my attention enough just to sit there. And I'm watching it with Sarah, and Sarah's on her phone, obviously. And I just couldn't. It just couldn't hold my attention. But I appreciate the epicness of the movie. You're right, they don't make movies like this anymore. Just the scale of it and everything. And again, like this ain't CGI, people. This is all real, and it definitely pulls that off. But
the costumes are insane
so much
in
they
this
could have
movie.
just taken out. I'm just like, oh my god.
Well, I think you're right. I think if you were to recut the movie, I think there's plenty of stuff you can take out of the movie. Like, but some of it does build character. There's moments where, let me give. You might have a synopsis, but I'll give what I. This movie is very long. So again, the synopsis is it follows this character T.E. Lawrence, who was he was a soldier in the British armed forces, or whatever it was, British military during.
He's a British officer sent to Arabia, 1917.
Yeah. So the one thing about and this is based off a real guy. T.E. Lawrence existed, and he had like a real affinity for Arabian culture and learned how to speak it, Arabic, and which was kind of odd, right? Because that was the English thought they were better, or the English crown.
Why are you wearing this? Let's get you some trousers.
Right. So there's this concept of like they're barbarous. They're these uncivilized beings. But he took their culture and wanted to learn and actually felt that they should have been an independent people. So during this movie, it takes place again on kind of the front in Arabia, where you have the Turks, which eventually team up with the Germans to start World War I and fighting the British Army and the French and all this stuff. And so he is kind of tasked with going to find one of the because again, these different Arabian cultures are all kind of like tribalistic. They all have like their own. They all kind of infight. And one thing Lawrence was trying to do was trying to get them to kind of coalesce into a group under Prince Faisal, who was like this one big prince, who, by the way, is played by
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right, which is kind of sad. It's like old school Hollywood because it's like an Arabian guy played by a white English guy, and it's like they even brown faced him, and you're like, oh, damn you.
Well,
I know they still do that.
White guy playing.
No, but I mean, right? Like it's not a. You know what I mean? Like it's brown face is a little bit further than just picking a white guy to play a black guy's part or vice versa. But we joked, we're like, this guy can't get a spot unless they're like, you're gonna be in a desert, and he's like, oh, again.
It's like, is this Tatooine? Like,
I'm sure when he got directed for because Tatooine and Star Wars is after this, but he's like, oh, I'm still in the desert. Yeah. Come on, man, can I get a city movie? But he's amazing in it, by the way.
Yeah. Alec Guinness, right?
So Alec Guinness, yeah. And so he is tasked with kind of working with him, and ultimately what he does is he wants to give independence to this group. He wants to see an Arabian nation, and the people of that he's with, trying to take back Aqaba and Damascus, which are these huge cities that were supposed to be like these strongholds, and if they could get those, it would be amazing. So one of the first things is they want to go to take this one place, but they can't take it by sea because it's just so fortified. The British naval forces can't get it. So he's like, well, let's just cross. Why don't we just cross the desert? And they're like,
well, they had like older guns pointed at the sea and all that kind of stuff because that's where you go. Because again, no one can cross the desert. It's impossible. No one's ever done it before.
So they're like, no one's going to attack us from land.
We can do it. It's fine.
He's like, yeah, let's go do it. And so part of the movie is about this epic. That's why it's so long. But the reason it's long is to create the sense of like, holy crap, let's get through the desert, people. It's like Lord of the Rings. Like, how long are these people going to walk, right? Yeah. No, that's the feeling, right? And that's where Tolkien does that too. Or not Tolkien, but Peter Jackson in this case.
There's a lot of stuff that happens along the way.
Well, there is stuff that happens along the way, but that is a long scene to get through the desert. And like, they tell him that the guy who's with him, he's like, we can't go through the desert. We're all going to die. Like, nobody makes it through there. And he's like, I'll make it. Can you make it? Like, I love the like badassness. Like, I can't promise for you, but I can promise for me. I'm going to make it.
And again, how qualified is this guy? I'd be like, no, you're just some white guy that just showed up. You don't know anything about the desert.
Well, that's what's cool about the movie is like everyone underestimates him because they think of him as they call him English, right? Because he's just this white English guy. What do you know about our people? What do you know about our ways, right? And he's like, no, I know about your ways. I studied. I am appreciative of your. Like he's not just a.
He really like got into the culture because he resisted the British. His orders were pretty much there, like to kind of grab them, right? And he was going against.
That's where the history doesn't actually line up.
Oh, okay.
In real life, he wasn't just like going rogue. Like he was given orders to do certain things. Now, he was sympathetic to the extent that he was doing it to hopefully help this Arabian nation become like a council and actually get their independence and not be basically this land to be split up between like the French and the English after the war. He was like, I'm going to help these people, but I'm with the intent because he's a good English soldier. Like he's not trying to undermine the English, but he's like, I'm hopefully going to help them to the point that not only do we take these cities, but they have enough independence that they won't, do
their own thing.
Yeah. They can have their own way of life. And like, he even says it, he's like, I will give them that. Now, what's cool about the movie is that he starts to be so successful with this campaign of trying to get back these cities that people start looking almost at him as like a prophet, right? And then he starts to see himself as a prophet, where he's like he tells his men, "We can do this," and then like people are like, "No, you're crazy," and he's like, "They'll do it if I tell them to do it," and it's like, you're just a guy, you know what I mean? And then there's this whole realization that he is just a guy, and then he has this like coming to no pun intended Jesus moment where he's like, I'm not Jesus, right? But I think why. Again, we can review this now. You can not do your thumb because you didn't watch all
I'll do my thumb because that's part of my review, and I want to have a discussion about like when is the movie? And we'll talk about it.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thumbs up for me. Thumbs to the side for Gerald.
Thumbs to the side.
So tell me what exactly? I mean, like what did you expect from the movie? That's what I'm kind of concerned about. It's an epic movie.
So like, when is a movie too long?
When it stops.
Like when you're watching the movie and you're like, this part of the movie serves zero purpose.
That's not true.
There are things in that movie that serve zero purpose.
I would argue otherwise.
That could have been cut. And
tell me a scene.
I don't know. It's
Exactly. No, I'm just kidding. But
no, but there are definitely things where I'm like, okay, that happened, but like it doesn't get served later on, at least as far as I know. I guess
that's
right?
my point. You didn't watch it all.
But I don't know. But I mean, like I said, this movie definitely is where it's at on the list for a very good reason. It's very epic. It's definitely a movie that everyone should see once in their lives,
including Gerald.
I have seen it once, David, growing up. I told you.
Yeah, when you were like 12. I'm sure your attention span was better then than it is now.
Yeah, I didn't have a phone in my hand. So
yeah,
that's one
probably
thing.
True.
But I mean, it's grandiose. It's gorgeous looking. The guy has the bluest freaking eyes.
Right, and he looks like the actual.
And he's
guy.
like super blonde too, so he stands out in front of all these other people and stuff. Yeah. But it's really solid movie. It's great. It just.
Do you see it more like when we watched Rashomon, where it's like it's important to the film, like to film in general, but it's not your.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea, David.
Right. No, for the British
again,
out there, that's a good analogy.
There you go. Right, I meant for that to happen. But it's not my cup of tea. So that's why I'm sure if it's something that I really liked, I would give it that thumbs up. I mean, that's kind of the whole point.
See, I disagree.
But like, it's really good. But it just couldn't hold my attention enough to keep watching it. And I had some issues, streaming or whatever. That my stupid Apple TV Plex app was being stupid. And it's just one of the point where I'm like, I don't care about fixing this and finish watching this. I'm over it. Yeah.
No, I think,
and that's part of my review.
See, for me, I don't mind it being that long. Again, I did watch it over the course of multiple sittings, which I would encourage everyone to do. To sit for that long is hard to do, but it's
not hard to do if the movie is captivating enough where it keeps you in your seat, though.
No, just because of the way. Well, for me, with the kiddo and stuff, I can't sit down for 3.
That's what I'm saying. Like in my point of view, like it doesn't matter the length of the movie.
But I think there's levity in the movie. There's funny parts. Like there's so many different cool scenes. There's new characters that come along. Like it definitely has to be that long, I think, because it talks about a lot of different things. Like there's multiple battle sequences and quote unquote battles for like the 60s and stuff like that. But it's so cool. Like it feels like you're watching a historical reenactment of like.
But a lot of it is like we were talking about before on how epic it is, and like this isn't CG, and like the importance of like these epic movies really happened. And unfortunately, we're probably never going to see movies like this made ever again because the cost of just putting in CG horses and stuff and people is way cheaper. The cost comes down on that, why not just do that?
I think I read something that the actual people that ride with him, like not the main characters, but some of the other people were like actually part of like an Arabian like.
It's like, hey man, we'll give you
like some kind of tribe that were actually like people that were around, not during World War I, but like it's crazy. Like they actually went and got the real people.
It's just crazy getting that many people, that many horses, that many camels, or whatever. And you just like to have that scene where like the planes are bombing them and stuff like that. And you're like, holy crap, dude! Like these are real explosions. These are real freaking airplanes. Like how do you get an airplane like that in 19 whatever? It's just really crazy. So it definitely belongs to this list for that reason and how. They obviously took a lot of care into this movie and filming it and stuff like that, and you're never going to see that again, ever.
Well, the new Battlefield 1, I think has Lawrence as like one of the characters.
They do.
That's hilarious. Because what's also interesting about this movie is also like the historical aspect of like seeing like the disparaging technology, right? Like you're talking about these planes that the Turks got, and like they're bombing camels, people on camels with like rifles.
And I do like the part where like Lawrence is asking like we need artillery, and they're like we can't give them artillery, like they'll be unstoppable, like we can't control them if they have artillery, like,
right? And that's
top technology tree,
right? And that's what's cool about the movie is that there's this push pull between Lawrence being wanting to give the Arabian people a place to have independence and be left alone,
right?
But also not backstabbing his duty to country and king, right? That's awesome. And he has this back and forth of like, and then they're like, oh, has he gone the native? Has he gone native? And he's like, no, I don't think so. But like, he really does care about these people. It's cool to see that. But there are also some other parts, like at the very end of the movie, like he doesn't, again, this is spoiler territory. He doesn't know about the treaty. It's like, he did know about the treaty. And even in the real world, he definitely knew about it.
And he lied like the whole freaking movie.
What do you mean?
Like the way when he told them like, oh, there's gold in Agrabah. Like, oh, we'll take you there.
Well, he knew that.
Oh, there's no gold here.
Well, remember, he told him, he's like, don't you do it for pleasure. I love those lines, man. He's like, you don't do it for gold. You do it like, it's the old school, like, why do you go fight the Turks? Because you can beat them. You know what I mean?
We can never get into Agrabah. Like, it's this huge city, but it's defended by all these guns and stuff, and it's like a block. And there's some guns facing the water. It's like so small, it's like the battle's over in like 5 minutes.
Well, that's the point. It's just like, any good Game of Thrones stuff, they don't show you the battle. They just show you like a little fight scene, and then they pull back and you see all the CGI. But this is cool because you actually see horses like running in and like, taking the city.
Just the fact that it's, like I said, it definitely belongs on this list, and it's one of the things you just have to watch at least once.
But like Lawrence himself is like the coolest guy. He's like Indiana Jones in real life. Like he was an archaeologist. That's where his background was. He would like unearth like these stones, these Arabic stones, and like they had text on them. They're like decoding that. He was a British spy because like they sent him because of the railways, which you see in the movie. There was this big between the Turks and the Germans. There was going to be this huge long railway between the Ottoman Empire that went from, oh God, I don't remember. I think it was Damascus down to like Berlin or something like that. And it was going to be this huge railway that was going to be super helpful because remember, whoever has resources usually wins the war, right? So they were trying to destroy, and so what they allowed Lawrence to do, because he was cool with the people of the Arabic nations, all those people, that they were like, go in there and tell us where the train's going, and so they show scenes of that, and like, I don't know, like, I think maybe being colored a little bit with like the actual history makes the movie better, if that makes sense, because it's close to them, it's close to history, it's not entirely far off. Peter O'Toole is amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
He's very
at the very beginning. It was kind of like he's kind of like hamming it up. He's kind of a weirdo, right?
Yeah, and you're like, this guy's really gay. I'm just being honest. Like,
I don't know what that
Peter,
means,
but you know what I mean. He's got a little flamboyantness to him.
Sure. I mean, but he was definitely like kind of a jerk. I'm like, how did he make it this far into the army, man? He's like,
well, he doesn't follow orders.
Yeah. But later on in the movie and stuff, like especially after, like in spoilers, where he like kills the guy and he's like telling him, he's like at the bar with the lemonade and he's like, he likes your lemonade. I'm like,
I love that
pretty
part.
funny. But he's like traumatized from like traveling.
PTSD is going through PTSD after.
Yeah. Like that acting and stuff is freaking brutal.
Yeah, and the part where he's like, really I can't. He's like, oh, it's just nerves.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Whew,
and then like you missed the. Did you get to the part where there's no prisoners? Did you get to that scene? No prisoners! Like he loses his mind and starts just killing people and goes to like blood and so like that's what's cool about the movie. You see this transformation of a character that was like making maps at the very beginning and was like didn't want anything to do with the war and is now like leading hundreds of people. They think he's a prophet and he's like going out for blood.
Yeah.
Like it's cool to see that transformation and then kind of whipped back to like, no, you're just a human being. Did you see the torture scene? The torture you didn't get to that part of the movie?
That sounds familiar. What part of
where he's tortured?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Jeez, you didn't. There's so much that you didn't watch. But apparently that whole scene didn't happen in real life, they say. Like a lot of historians like that never happened. Which is kind of weird.
It's like any other fiction or movie about nonfiction.
He talks about it. T. Lawrence, I think, actually wrote about it, but they're like, there's no evidence of that. Like, anyway, so he was captured at one point and tortured and things like that. And so the movie kind of talks about that, and that changes his, like, he's like, I don't belong here, I need to leave. But it's just super cool. Like, he's just this super, and like the whole idea of like the Americans trying to make him a hero and in the press, because they're like, oh, we need a hero for the war.
Yeah.
Like that's in realism. You had like, Patton in World War II. Like, you need these big figures who are, doing the right thing. They're taking down the Nazis. You know what I mean?
Morale and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it's such a good. It's a war movie, it's a war movie about the war, but on a different front.
Not on the front lines.
Not the traditional what we think of when we think of like the trenches, World War I, and then of course World War II. It's kind of this. There's some political stuff in it, which is cool. There's this. I just like the idea of like somebody who's trying to help a group of people, but can't has to do it somewhat covertly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I enjoy that. I like he's got this good heart. Like he wants to help these people. He sees them. Well, he sees them as not as these barbarians. Like they could. Yeah. And then ultimately, towards the end of the movie, it kind of just falls apart. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say he goes crazy.
Well, he doesn't go. Well, see, you didn't watch the end of the movie, but like he gets the council. He actually gets it all together, and they just end up fighting. And he's like, wow. What was all
Time
this
hasn't
for?
changed much.
And he goes back home. That's the end of the movie. That's what's awesome. They're like, oh, you're sent back home. And he's like, That's kind of okay. Well, the beginning of the movie is the end of the movie, right? He's on the motorcycle and he dies, which I love the whole thing. Like, did you know him? And they're like, oh, he was an amazing man. I never knew him. You know what I mean? Like, he was very... So anyways, that's Lawrence of Arabia. You should definitely watch it, Gerald. Watch the last 45 minutes. Please do it. Next week we have number 82, which is Double Indemnity,
the 1944 drama thriller. I've never seen this movie.
This is directed. I think this is another one of Billy Wilder. Yeah. So he directed number 100, which was The Apartment.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is a comedy? No,
not a comedy, thriller. But this is considered one of his best, if not his best movie. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on here that is from him. I don't see anything off the top that I'm looking at right now. So yeah, I'm really excited about that movie. I think I saw it a long time ago. I think I know what it's about.
I have no idea. I've never even heard of this
but yeah, definitely check that out. Other than that, we got anything else? No?
I think we're good, David.
Okay, well, if you want to send us an email, let us know what you thought about Lawrence of Arabia. Tell us if you watched it all, by the way. Send us an email. Let us know what you thought. God. An actual review, unlike Gerald Bales, who can't keep his attention.
At least I know how to hit a record button, David.
At least...
Select the correct
If this podcast was any longer, you'd just check out, I suppose.
Well, I do most of the time anyways, David.
Anyway, so you can always send us your email at...
sitdownstandard@gmail.com.
And just a little reminder, you can always give us a review on iTunes, like we said at the beginning of the show.
5 stars. Tell a friend, tell a buddy. Just put in a random email address at gmail.com and say, hey, check out Sit Down Standard.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody,
if you don't get NDR back, then, it went to somebody.
Exactly.
Grab random people in the shopping. Hey, check out sitdowncenter.com.
Yeah, exactly.
And just keep walking.
And by the way, send us an email. Let us know what you think about the show. Ask us a question. You always have a chance to win $5.
Yeah, if we screw something up, corrections or whatever, send us those too. Those
we like that for sure. Definitely. Tell us where we're wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, till next time. Bye.
See ya.